What is up, guys? Lunatic's back here. It's been a while. I thought I was going to do more videos in rapid succession after the last one, but it didn't turn out like that at all. With all that said, I just want to cut straight into it. This video is strictly going to be focused on the raid build and a very basic general guide, very basic and very general guide of how to play Moonkin on the council fight in Amirdrassil with Pip and the Big Bear and the ducks and all of that good, lovely stuff. Why am I making this video? Well, I've been doing quite a lot of raiding. I basically to try to farm the feather from the penultimate boss. Still haven't gotten it. So as you can see, I'm going OG Moonkin. Always a fan of that. Yeah, so I've been doing that and leveling and gearing up to alts and playing on basically LFR, normal hero, and I've also actually started to dip my toes into Mythic again. Just wasn't the same. I came to the point where I was like, okay, now I'm full geared for heroic. What am I gonna do? And yeah, a friend of mine reached out and said, hey, we need a Moonkin. Are you up for some mythic raiding? And I was like, yeah, let's go. Anyways, so with all of that said and all of the raiding gone, I was in a lot of Moonkins. It's lovely to see so many people want to play Moonkin. It's a great time to do so. Obviously there are mixed feelings. Some people absolutely hate Moonkins, and some absolutely love them, and everything in between. But especially while hugging, I have noticed that there are a lot of Moonkins. I don't know what the thing is if you are just now speaking directly to those, as I don't know if some of you guys do this as well. Some of my watchers, maybe. But there's been plenty of Moonkins I have seen who have done subpar DPS on the council fight. Mostly and mainly, surprisingly, due to not using Starfall at all, or very few, like below 10 casts of Starfall during an entire council fight, and their main damage being Star Search. Maybe it's a choice just because they want to get better at a single target rotation. I have no idea, but it's been quite a lot of Moonkins that I've seen doing this, and some of my friends as well. And I'm just gonna be honest here. Like, if you are playing Moonkin, you should be number one DPS on the council fight, even if you don't have top gear, unless you're playing with some seriously skilled people or people who are out gearing you by 20, 30 item blocks. It is just a perfect fight for Moonkin. So we're gonna go through the spec, and then I want to just give a brief idea of how to play that fight. But let's get into the spec first. Now, this is not the spec. There is Starfall and everything, but this is my mixed target build, which I use for other fights. So yeah, Amirdrassil is there. We have more specs for Amirdrassil than we've had for any of the other two raids in this expansion. I know it can get confusing and all of that, but don't worry, everything will be fine. But here is the build. I recommend picking up Feline Swiftness for the movement speed, because there's quite a lot of movement in this fight, and you do want to have that 15% increase for what I'm about to say later on. We are also not using Wild Surges or Smolder for the council fight, because we want to go full AoE here, and yeah, so with maximum uptime of Waning Twilight, right? So what we're doing is we are going back to the Stellar Flare, baby. That is basically just to keep Waning Twilight as much as we possibly can, preferably on all three bosses in the council fight during the entire fight. That's the goal, right? The first goal, I'd say. To keep Moonfire, Sunfire, and Stellar Flare on all three bosses, if you can manage, during the entire fight. Other than that, we are going Lunar Sharpener and Ethereal Kindling, of course, because we want our Starfalls to renew our dots, so we don't waste globals on putting up Moonfire and Sunfire individually on these bosses as they jump around back and forth in the arena. You don't want to do that. So you want your Starfall to renew so that you can, at least you will have to put up Stellar Flare once it runs out on all the three targets anyways, because this one does not renew when you use Starfall. But the Stellar Flare, as you can see from the tooltip, it is a 24-second duration dot, so it's not too bad. And the casting time is 1.1 seconds. That's pretty fast, right? Obviously, the more haste you have, the faster it will be. So instead of wasting multiple seconds and running around trying to be in range to the dot everything, and then maybe wasting 30 seconds just on that, you are preferably standing in a position where you are just pushing out three at a time. So you're wasting about 3.5 seconds. That's the minimum, right? If you can just chain cast this one on each boss and then you continue rotation. That's basically it. We are running triple capstones. We are running New Moon. It's simply stronger, and you want to have that as so you can basically do good single target damage to your focus target. We are running Radiant Moonlight, obviously, Luna's Guidance for the 4 set, and we also have Friend of the Fae with the Damascene of the Green. Right. So as you can see, we are not using Power of Goldrin either, and we're going 2 points in balance of things, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to pick up Incarnation. This is all just to buff your Starfalls and your dots as much as possible. You want to pump out those as often as you can. Now, when it comes to the actual rotation, even though there are 3 targets, now think about it, they are spread out, they jump around and everything like that. Very rarely will you have all 3 of them stacked in the same position. Now, it can happen. It's happened to me. It's very rare, though. In those situations, though, normally in a 3 targets situation, unless you are unless you are in Incarnation, you would go Star, what's it called, Lunar Eclipse and push Star Fire, right? But since this occurrence is so rare, and even if you do have a moment in the council fight where all 3 bosses are standing close together, that's not gonna last for very long. They're gonna jump around, the bear is gonna charge away, you name it. It might happen, like I said, but it's definitely a rare occurrence. So what you want to do is you go in as you would, you are basically doing your single target rotation. You're going to Solar Eclipse and you are casting Wrath, you are casting your New Moon and all of that jazz, right? But you are not using Star Search, you are spending all of your Astral Power on Starfall every time. Now, that's the basic thing, right? So you are doing your single target rotation, going into Solar Eclipse. You are still casting Wrath when you are in Incarnation or when you proc your Pulsar, still going in and casting Wrath. So full on single target in the rotation aspect, but with the exception of spending all of your what's it called, astral power. All of your astral power should be spent on Starfall, right? So that's basically it, right? You're spending all astral power on Starfall. You're doing your single target rotation with the Wrath as your filler, and you are trying to make sure that you have Stellar Flare mod 3 bosses, right? Um, that's basically it. Now, recommended for all cleave casters that can do this. At least as far as I know, like for Havoc, or Havoc, sorry. What are they called? Destruction Warlocks, with the Havoc Cleave, possibly Shadow Priest. I don't know. I'm not a pro at all of the classes and specs in the game, but we are considered like a big cleave spec in that fight specifically. And there is literally no other class in the game that is as good at the council fight in Amirdrassil as Moonkins are, because our Starfall cleave is a radius of 40 yards around us, and all we have to do is push the button and it will do it for us. So what you want to do is, if you imagine this circle being the arena, right? So you will have Awin jumping from one side to the other all the time, right? You will have the bear and the tank maybe moving the bear between the bosses or whatever, or at least it will charge towards Awin, and move around. But the one boss that will almost always and constantly during the fight be in the middle is Pip, right? So imagine that Pip is standing here. Oh, in myself. Right? So what you want to do as Moonkin, obviously you will have to care about the soaking of the charge and stuff like that, depending on the level of difficulty that becomes more important, right? Just so you don't fuck up the mechanics of the actual fight. But other than that, if Pip is standing here, you want to be like around Pip, right? Because that way your starfall radius of 40 yards will cover the majority of the platform, increasing the chance that all three bosses are within your starfall at all times, right? Because that's also something like you could do your rotation and push the starfall and do all that perfectly. But if you are out of range of one of them, first of all, you're gonna have to move towards that boss, which is not really an issue. You're gonna have to move anyways, of course, when Awen jumps, for example, and all of that jazz. But just keeping that in mind that you're gonna have to reach that target as well to put up a new stellar flare, right? And then it's not the end of the world if you don't have all three bosses within your starfalls during the entire fight. I mean, if you manage that, then you're either you're very lucky or you're a fucking god. Uh, but standing in the middle or close to the middle and, between Pip and where Awin is would be my recommendation, because the bear boss will be either dragged towards Awin or charged towards Awin. So you have a higher chance of getting all three of them for most of the fight if you're standing close to Pip, but between Pip and Awin, minding all other mechanics, of course. Don't be stupid and stand in stuff that will kill you. Um, but yeah, that's basically it. And what you want to do is, and like maybe some people are gonna hate me for this, because I know some people in pugs at least, they're like, you have to focus on AoE first and all of that, and blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, that's great, but you don't really have to. Like, they all have to die at the same time. Um, Melee, you're gonna be like on AoE like moths to a flame. So don't you worry. She has enough damage on her focus. Anyways, also the bear, right? So what you want to do is, unless you are threatened with a kill kick or whatever for some reason, some people are just crazy like that. You want to have Pip as your focus target, right? You want to have Pip as your focus target. He will always be in range. You can max and do your rotation so you get as much astral power as you can, as easily as you can, to push out more starfalls. That's it. Only time you want to switch from a pip is when you are putting up Stellar Flare on Urktos or Eowyn. Hey, I remember the bear's name. Or at the end of the fight, if for some reason Urktos or Eowyn are way higher in health than Pip, and you're close to getting picked down, and it's kind of like, oh, this doesn't look good, then obviously you change your target, right? To the other one, to the highest one, and you start doing your single rotation there. But this is no like rule written in stone. It's just a general guideline. Start a fight like that, and then adapt accordingly. But you want to try to keep all of the bosses within your starfall as much as possible. You want to renew your stellar flare, right? On the all three bosses as uh, as they run out, so that you have waning twilight on all of them and can max out the damage from your starfalls. That is it. And you are not allowed. I'm you're not allowed to use Star Search on that fight. Okay. Um, that's what I say at least. I hope that helps. It's a short video. Here is the spec again. Pause the video, copy the tree, use this. This spec is basically only for the council fight. In every other situation, you would go with Wild Surges and Astral Smolder. In every other situation. So I hope that helps some of you if you were wondering why you're doing bad damage or why some things are doing 100 or 200,000 KDPS more than you on that fight. Now you know why. I hope this helps and have a great one, guys. See you in the next one.